Hello everyone, my name is Engelbutzeder, and in this video I will present the CHI 2023 paper Redistributional Food Justice, Negotiating Conflicting Views of Fairness with the Local Grassroots Community, that I have written together with the co-authors Yannick Bollmann, Berns, Marvin Landwehr, Randall and Volker Wulf. I'll present insights from over 2 years of action-oriented research to understand the food sharing and food resource sharing practices of a local community in which different values and purposes of fairness are negotiated. In our context, volunteers have established a local hut for food sharing that can be accessed by everyone right around the clock, and a twice-weekly public redistribution of rescued and other food and food resources, the so-called SharingEvent. Both are connected to the wider food sharing movement, a major initiative which depends heavily on ICT. It is supported by a platform as well as a Facebook page. We show how ideological tensions to do with fairness play out and suggest how the use of digital artifacts may, in time, resolve some of these tensions. We derive recommendations for action-oriented researchers ultimately concerned with systemic transformation. Our perspective aligns with Weber et al., who advocate for deep change in food systems in terms of values, consumption and production practices, and policies that enable grassroots consultation and mobilization. In HCI, we identified a shift in focus from designing for individual behaviors to collective practices, where researchers widen their remit to capture the contextual and relational complexities of food practice sustainability. Existing work regarding food sharing in HCI has highlighted how the use of digital technologies are interwoven with community practices, sometimes reflecting the values of members and sometimes in tension with these values. Our work connects to research on social aspects of food sharing, especially on sharing surplus food as a communal activity. The project has thus far involved 28 months of research using a practice-based and action-oriented research approach. The research involved active and ongoing collaboration with the community. Our aim is, on the one hand, to investigate current practice in the food sharing group and how it is established. On the other hand, Author 1 and Author 2 see themselves as food activists who are committed to the transformation of food practices towards sustainability, both locally and globally. Our qualitative data includes informal conversations, field notes and semi-structured interviews. Likewise, a survey and brainstorming session were conducted during a sharing event. After the initial data collection, analysis began and new research data were collected iteratively. Author 1 and Author 2 organized 2 hybrid workshops. Both authors also participated in numerous organizational meetings. SharingEvent is often perceived as a kind of food bank, which is closely connected with stigmatization and shame. Guests are not always aware that everyone is invited to participate in the project, and it is explicitly linked to sustainable food practices. The perception of fairness differed distinctly among the participants. This was consequential when rules were introduced. The introduction of rules evoked further challenges. Through the workshop and the weekly meetings in the community garden before the sharing event, common rules were iteratively established with all interested parties. Most disapproved of the first-come, first-serve approach, as it did not produce the desired community effects and did nothing to fuel other ongoing projects. A gamified version was introduced. This new queuing system makes the scarcity-creating, anti-cooperative practice, investing time to be the first, impossible and mitigates against competitiveness. In the city we describe, activists have created a number of loosely linked activities and resources. The sharing event has become a node in this network, one which serves to increase awareness of different elements. Sharing event offers potential for community building. Yet the action-oriented researchers repeatedly saw a threat to themselves and other people of being overwhelmed by routine responsibilities for coordination and organization. For the growth of the community, the wider inclusion of interested people is important. Conducive to community building was the interweaving of the sharing event into various sustainable food and resource sharing practices. With regards to ICT, minimal overhead was very important. Volunteers and helpers do not see computer literacy as high on their agenda. Tools were quickly dropped when some members had difficulty. The community coordinated its work through an artifact ecology. Telegram groups were also used to strengthen community building. The food sharing platform was seen too static for community building. In sum, a simple messaging system with limited functionality is in generally preferred to the more sophisticated platform because it is easy to use and makes coordinating work much more straightforward. For the community to scale up and not to fracture it requires, we argue, the alignment of different purposes evident in our data. We derive 5 different notions of fairness. Charitable. Such a view sees those who are indigent as having priority. Contribution-oriented. There are arguments that the volunteers that contribute by saving or redistributing the food surplus should have priority. Equality-based. Every participant that arrives at the sharing event had equal chances. No waste, according to which the main goal is that no food is wasted and therefore it does not particularly matter who consumes it. Systemic fairness is that the purpose of the sharing event and their engagement in general is directed at more sustainable food practices, which ultimately might result in sustainable consumption and, equally important, production. It entails an awareness of an unfair global food system that combines local activism with a global stance, according to which the community building activities are much more than just recreational. We propose that supporting the negotiation process is of paramount importance to build and sustain the community in and through the development of its artifact ecology. Our work is not predicated on adjusting these versions, but more on supporting a space for healthy debate and for opening up opportunities for engagement. Technological support for community building, in other words, can act to mitigate the tensions we otherwise see. Meshing the ICTs used for SharingEvent and SharingHut 24/7 with other local sustainable food practices outside of Telegram presents challenges, especially when it comes to foodsharing.de. Aligning the different purposes of technology and supporting the community in its use of artifact ecologies will need community building and especially social encounters. We have made no attempt to design a technological tool implementing those notions of fairness precisely because community building cannot be imposed. We argue that scaling redistributional justice in accordance with sustainability is not a matter of technological implementation, but that it is possible to imagine and design change at broader level of community engagement. To consider a design that allows the community, both visitors and volunteers, to settle tensions themselves, we propose the following design recommendations for our engagement as action-oriented researchers. Support community engagement through contribution, by offering tasks that are easy to take on, helping volunteers to take more complicated tasks, supporting the sharing of skills and resources, and opening up a space for complementary contributions. Facilitate engagement with the day-to-day problems of people and embody care for the community, rather than keeping an emotional distance that enables the researcher to produce an organized account by playing down the disorienting messiness of everyday experience. Maximize opportunities for participation in activities and discussions taking place offline and online. Technological assistance can be provided often with little effort. Support initiatives from everyone who wants to discuss issues like redistributional justice. Moderate decision-making processes, subsequent design choices regarding what notions of fairness the community wants to commit to. Facilitate cooperative rather than rival engagement, for example, through entertainment and gamification. Thank you very much for your attention.